There's been quite a few studies about the impact of sound ESG practices upon a company's equity, upon a company's stock price. Many of the studies have found a favorable correlation there. But what about the cost of debt? Do sound ESG practices improve that too? Today on Zippy Point. I'm Brock Romanek, and I'm a big fan of yous. This Grow the Pie blog by Alex Edmonds is interesting. Alex has his own studies about ESG, including this one that employee satisfaction improves a company's long-term value. And in this blog, Alex dissects a recent study about the impact of ESG practices on the cost of debt. And here's a few items that I took away from Alex's blog. One, most studies study the cost of equity, the stock price, like I mentioned, but the results can be confusing because there is some ambiguity that gives ESG advocates, of which Alex is one, quite a bit of flexibility to interpret the results the way that they want. Two, the results can be confusing, difficult to truly understand because you never actually observe the cost of equity, only the stock price. Now, it's true that the stock price implies a cost of equity. If it's $10 today and is expected to be $11 next year, then investors must be obtaining about a 10% return to hold, if they hold their shares. But the problem is that we have no idea what investors expect the stock price to be next year. So the big problem is that investors don't always get what they expect. People can confuse realized returns with expected returns. Three, so in Alex's opinion, a better approach is to study bonds, the cost of bonds. With bonds, you can directly observe the cost of the debt. It's the interest rate on the bond. Plus, responsible investors might be even more likely to sacrifice financial returns for a responsible company's bonds rather than its stock, since companies are issuing debt all the time, much more frequently than they issue new equity. Four, so this new study about debt finds that better overall practices about E&S leads to lower bond yields, even after controlling for other factors that drive bond yields. Five, but Alex notes that this new study about debt has results that are far more nuanced than claimed. He notes that when splitting overall E&S performance into its individual components, it's the product-related dimensions of ES ratings that lowers the cost of debt. Scores for the environment, community, human rights, which get much more attention by the media, by all of us, are actually linked to a higher cost of debt, although the results are statistically insignificant. Thus, it seems that the actively do-good aspects of E&S matter more than the do-no harm. Plus, as could be expected, the characteristics that matter the most vary over time, and they vary across the different sectors, across different industries. So the bottom line, according to Alex, is that the effect of ESG on the cost of capital is ambiguous. It's difficult to pin down. There's real danger with lumping the different components of ESG together, as some factors matter, some factors might not. You can't avoid the fact that the factors that matter vary from industry to industry, and that there are differences that depend on materiality. It's a tough nut to crack, one of the reasons why the various rating frameworks out there can be so complicated, why the ESG reporting by companies is all over the map. Anyways, let me know what you think.